Um, we're going to go to Alex. Alex, if you can just give us a little brief history of you and
This has been wonderful. It's so nice to hear it from nurses all over. Thank you,
mm,
Kristen and Sarah and Karen and Erin, for bringing us together. So I am Alex. I am also coming from Massachusetts, USA. I have a prior business degree, so I am 6 years into my nursing career because it was a second career path for me. So I'm a BSN RN, and I worked for 2 years at a medical surgical orthopedic oncology floor for adults in a hospital here in New Hampshire, and have spent the last 4 years school nursing in all ranges from pre-K to high school. My main focus has been more middle school and high school. Um, and kind of just to touch quick upon the same similar story to Kristen and Sarah, but this past spring, I spoke up. It was in the middle of a nursing Zoom, someone like this, with all of our other nurses that work in the school district here that I was at, and people, nurses, were using derogatory terms. They were saying retarded and anti-vaxxer. And one nurse corrected herself and said, I shouldn't use the term retarded, which great. Yes, we shouldn't be using that term. But the conversation carried on and people were using the term anti-vaxxer several times and no one corrected themselves at that point. So I felt really like I needed to speak up. We had had training to not be xenophobic about children that may be from Asia or China related to this pandemic and virus. And we are taught as nurses to call out bullying and discrimination. So I proceeded to email my nurse leader following this meeting and just said that, as nurses, we need to not use labels that have a negative term, especially when we have children in our schools with valid exemptions to vaccines. So using that term anti-vaxxer has a very negative connotation to it, and we shouldn't be using that in our nursing discussions. I never received a response, and I was let go the following month. So my contract this year was not renewed. They did replace my position, so they could say that my position was eliminated, but I'm aware that there was several other positions available in the district that I was not offered and was basically told to not interview for. So that's my little quick story. That speaking up on things that are very important and we need to start being able to have conversations about them without the ramifications of losing your job or having kind of hate messages come towards you. So that was kind of the beginning, but I came down this path to look at vaccines or just in general health and well-being. Similar to Kristen, I have a son who is 2 years old and he was born premature. So we actually spent time in the NICU here in Boston, and he developed a bacterial infection that spread to his brain while he was in the hospital. This is something that was acquired after birth. It was not, from a bacterial infection in my placenta, and he was born healthy. But 10 days after birth, he acquired this infection. And I, at the time, was like any nurse. I was questioning doctors, asking what is safe for him because he is not a normal case of a child. And I, received encouragement. I proceeded to vaccinate my child. So he is vaccinated through 1 year of life. And grudgingly, I went along with a lot of things that were pushed on me as a parent, even if I didn't agree with them. And it finally, I do believe, signed from God to look further into what is there. And when I looked, surprising as a nurse, we are trained on vaccines, the schedule, how to give them, but we're never really given more information about side effects, potential risks, what to do if there is a sign, of some sort of a reaction, where to report it, are the manufacturers liable? All of those kind of questions, ingredients. I'd never read an insert in my nursing career. And then when I finally did, I found a lot of information that had not been shared with me. And as a parent and as a medical professional, informed consent is key. And I think, like Karen said, we cannot ethically provide medical treatment or options to parents, or people deciding to get a new experimental vaccine if they are not well equipped with the knowledge of both sides. And I think he is what led me to kind of see what's going on. And then working in the schools, I started to realize, even from my time, I'm in my 30s. The schedule has grown immensely, and for me to see what is now required for the school children is already so much more than what I had received myself. And just this year alone, we've added 3 additional immunizations required for school children here in Massachusetts, and those are vaccines I didn't get, vaccines that you didn't get. And I think the pressure, the social pressure, the media, the push with the pandemic, things that are going on, overarching, and not allowing people to question or have conversations, and using derogatory terms and labeling is continuing to divide us. And at the end, we, the patients, are the ones who are losing. And I think that's what I stand up for. I spoke similar to Kristen and Sarah at our state house this past summer against the flu mandate that was just enacted on all of our children here in Massachusetts. So that's what I speak up for. I speak up for our children and the fact that we need to maintain our rights as patients and individuals to make healthcare choices dependent upon our medical history and our beliefs and our, moral conscience, what we feel and know is safe and a risk that we want to take for ourselves.
Thank you, Alex.